sense in the smile, the smile, the smile.
And welcome everybody, it's Dan speaking. Hope you're well today. I'm pressing wrong buttons left, right and centre here, so apologies for the delay there. So let's talk about property, shall we? Welcome to Property Cashflow Show. My name's Dan Latter. We've got 4 things to cover today, but I think you'll find quite useful. Today's Thursday the 11th of January, just for those people listening to the podcast, in case you're wondering when this was recorded, and then in a month or two you'll be able to laugh at me or congratulate me, depending on whether I got some of these right. So let's talk about number 1 then, interest rate cut in February. Now, in last week's Property Cashflow Show, I think it was last week or the week before, it might have been before Christmas, I get very confused, been very busy. But we talked about interest rate cuts and the chances that one happening before June is not going to happen. And I've kind of changed my mind a little bit, but only a little bit. Do we think there'll be an interest rate cut in February? I hear people talking about that, and I'm not really convinced still. I'm a little bit more convinced that we might get an interest rate cut in February, but why on earth would the Bank of England want to even risk that? In their little tiny world, they are solely responsible for bringing down inflation. Everybody else, of course, knows that that's sort of bollocks. And knows that that's not the case. The reason why inflation's come down is because of Ukraine and oil and gas and energy prices. And by the way, those oil and energy gas prices, or oil, electricity, gas, they actually haven't come down that much because our bills, they've just gone up. They've just gone up again. They've increased the price cap yet again. It's absolute ridiculous. And of course, these companies, I mean, how else are they going to make billions of pounds of profit unless they're taking it from the poor to feed the rich? I don't understand what everybody else is getting so upset about. Of course, the rich have to increase their wealth. Of course. Why would we expect it to be any different under this Tory government right now? And I'm a capitalist, for God's sake. I can't stand this bloody government. Horrific. We need to get rid. We need to put anybody in place. Let's put the guys that did Rainbow when I was a kid. Let's get Zippy and George and Bungle. Let's get them in charge, right? Let's just roll the dice for new ideas. Should we put interest rates up or down? Let's roll the dice, and who cares, right? Whatever happens, it can't be worse than we're currently in. And I don't mean to rant about this on every podcast, but it's a thing, right? We know it's a thing. You and I know it's a thing. It's a thing. And the sooner this government gets out of power, the better it is. But also, the amount of people that are utterly out of touch with what real people are struggling with right now. I was before I came on, I was reading a Twitter thing about this guy owed £4, right? £4. I can't remember what it was for. £4, and they took him to court for it. I think it was TV license. It probably is TV license, because if you fart in the wrong direction, they're going to try and take you to court. Just horrid. And then there's another one, and the car wasn't insured, and he tried to sawn it, statutory off-road declaration, and they fucked him over, right? And he's lost his wife, and he's disabled. He had a flood. He lost all his paperwork. The car's been there, he's got CCTV on his car, but they screwed him, they took him to court, and now he's got like £200 worth of fine. Like, I just don't get it, right? And I know we're supposed to talk about interest rate cuts, but this is about how people are just really struggling, putting 1 bar on the fire instead of 3. I mean, good grief. When I was 6 or 7 or 12 or whatever age it was, that's what my gran would do, because you couldn't afford to put an extra bar on the fire. When I went to bed, we would have ice on the inside of the windows back in those days. By gum, I'm old. But we seem to have gone back to this Dickensian way of living where people are cutting back on things just to pay TV license, for God's sake, which needs to be abolished as well. Unfortunately, the only people talk about abolishing the TV license are very, very far right. And if you talk about that, you get kind of mucked in with the far right or the extreme left or whoever it is that's on about that. Anyway, interest rate cuts in February. Let's get back to that. I have an increased probability that there will be an interest rate cut. But my probability was like 2%. So it's gone to 4% probability that there's an interest rate cut in February. That might change next week or the week after or the week after. Who on earth knows? But it might do. It might happen. I'm hoping that it does. I'm praying that it does, as an atheist doesn't pray. I'm hoping that it does, but I can't really see it happening. So if you're waiting for that in order to solve all your problems, I don't think those problems are going to get solved anytime soon. I still think it's at least June until we get an interest rate cut. That might change next week, so obviously tie in next week. Let's talk about buy-to-let then and the state of buy-to-let. So we've put some more properties up for sale. I am so done. It's 25 years in March. I'm so done as a buy-to-let investor. And so obviously this might be a personal viewpoint here. And when we put these properties on the market, other investors are buying. There's a lot of rent-to-rent out there. We put properties out for rent. We get so many rent-to-renters coming through. That are 20 years of age, and can I just get you on the call to discuss? And you know straight away it's a rent to rent. So certainly rent to renters, they're going to want to rent your property from you, and then they're going to serviced accommodation it, even though it's against the rules and leaseholds law. They don't care about that. They don't even ask about that. They probably don't even know. They've probably not even had that covered on their training course. So the nature of buy to let, I think, is shifting, and I think it's changing. I think title splitting is going to be much bigger in 2024, where you get a big property and then you split it up, and that could also be commercial to resi. I think that's going to be a thing. I think an increase on making bigger properties, smaller properties, and going to get planning and breaking them up, and then I think those properties will be bought to let for sure. But these are much smaller properties, as small as are legally allowed from a mortgage point of view. And so, yes, I think that's going to continue to happen. Our landlord's going to continue to leave the market in droves, 100%. Just the pure taxation of landlords from a Section 24 point of view, we've had massive interest rate rises with 14 interest rate rises in a row. Landlords' mortgages are more expensive, and of course you can't offset that against your profit. So yes, your rent has gone up, which just means your tax burden has gone up, because even though your interest has gone up, you can't really offset that against your tax. So your tax burden as a landlord is increasing significantly. I just got my tax bill through. Good God, I nearly fell off the unicorn I was riding. It's ridiculous. It's beyond ridiculous. And this is one of the reasons why we're just like, you know what, fuck this. We're so done with tenants having all these rights and moaning. God, tenants, what's wrong with them? Since the pandemic, moan at every little thing. Light bulb's gone. Well, change it then. It's your property. You're renting it. Change the bloody light bulb. It's not rocket science. Do you want us to come around and wipe your nose and tie your shoelaces, for God's sake? It's just ridiculous. So, I think landlords have just had enough. And obviously I'm a landlord, right? And I've been for 25 years, and I probably represent how some landlords feel. There's no doubt that I represent how some landlords feel. Certainly not how all landlords feel. I think I just run out of patience for it. I think that's me. That's a me thing, right? And that's all right. It's all right for me to run out of patience dealing with people who are incapable of doing the most basic things, like there's a leak, let me know. No, we're not going to let you know. We're just going to have this little drip leak that on inspections we don't get to notice because no one ever tells us and we never see it. So then in 2 years' time we have a problem. We have to pay for downstairs to be painted. Why don't you just tell me? Oh, I didn't want to bother you. That's not up to you, is it? It's up to me. We tell you to tell us on maintenance, but do they do it? No. So I think for some people, buy-to-let's over. Certainly people like me, we've been in this business for far too long. And it's been around long enough to get us to where we wanted to get to, which is here. But where we are right now, it's not going to get us to where we want to be. And so for us, buy-to-let's definitely over. For other people wanting to get into the marketplace, I'm 51, I'm desperate to get out of buy-to-let. Other people, age 51, are desperate to get into buy-to-let. Is it a balancing act? It is, and it's like this. People getting out is more, less people coming in. Rents are going to go up anyway. Obviously, the people who always lose during this are the poor tenants. And, they don't get any help. The only help that they get is from shelter, telling them to sue landlords or to be arses to landlords or to go to their council, and the council tells them not to move out until the bailiffs turn up. It's not helping, folks. It's really not helping. And you're going to learn, sadly. You are going to learn when rents go up even further. Let's talk about lenders' rates. They definitely seem to have dropped and are continually dropping, but that's different than an interest rate cut. So when a lender drops from 4.5 to 4.4, I'm not really dancing a merry jig. Who gives a shit? 0.1% on £1 million. What is that? I can't even do the maths. Should we try and do the maths? Minus 0.01% is £100. Gosh, a year. Wow. Let's divide that by 12, shall we? Was that 88 quid? Oh, it's not 88 quid. It's £8.80. God, that's going to make a massive difference to a massive tax burden that we've got on the fuel price rises. Wow. So it's utter bollocks, basically. That's what I'm trying to say in a very sarcastic manner. So what? Lenders are dropping their rates by 0.1%, 0.2%. Whoopee bloody do. 15 quid a month. That's really going to change lives on a million pound of debt. Who's got £1 million of debt other than portfolio landlords, right? So that's not the rates that we want to be dropped. We need an interest rate cut. And it's not going to happen. And so landlords are going to go bust, and landlords are going to sell up and leave, and then rents are going to go up, and tenants are going to moan. And then who's going to get the blame? Landlords are going to get the blame yet again. And people are like, well, if you don't like it, leave. Don't worry, dude. We are doing. And then your rent's going to go up, and then you're going to moan about the fact that your rent's gone up, and then you're going to go, well, landlords, they need taxing more. Like, literally, a guy from the Roundtree Foundation, which is all to do with poverty, having a conversation. I'm like, I'm sure you think landlords should be taxed more. And he's like, yeah. I'm like, that's why rents have gone up so much, you fucking idiot. Why can't you understand that? But they don't. They vehemently hate landlords so much. And I'm not going to name the person, but they vehemently hate men, because most landlords are men, right? And so you might well be a feminist, and you might well hate men, and you might well be running a particular organisation that's called a charity, but it's actually a political organisation, and you're using that to attack men. That's fine. It's not a problem. I'm out, dude. It's not a problem at all. Let's talk about rent growth. Proper Dan rant today, isn't it? I don't know why. I'm feeling pretty good today. But anyway, talking about properties winding me up at the moment. Rent growth, has it slowed? Yes, for sure. So, and I don't know if it's January. We've had three tenants all move out all around the same time, and it's definitely slowed down. In fact, it's dropped a little bit in terms of what we were able to get. We've had to drop the price a little bit. And it could be just it's January. For some reason, some tenants leave in January. And by the way, these are all tenants that have moved out. So I think these tenants move out, and then more properties come on the marketplace. And then usually in February and March, there's no properties to rent, and the prices go back up again. So January is just basically a shit month to rent your properties out. So has rent growth slowed? Yes. And what will happen is the ONS, which is a pile of rubbish anyway, a pile of bricks, they'll come out and they'll talk about their 3.5% or 5% increase in rent. I don't know whose rent has gone up only 5%. My tenants certainly as not. You know, we've been putting rent up £100 on a £900 rent, 200 quid on an 1150 rent. So rents have definitely gone up 15 to 20%, right? Not 5%. But the ONS take existing rental prices as well as new properties going on the market, which is just bullshit. Like, I bought a Mars bar 5 years ago, and I bought a Mars bar today. So the average price of a Mars bar is the price in the middle. How does that work? Somebody please explain it to me. Proper Dan rant today, but someone explain that to me. If I bought a Mars bar 10 years ago, 50 pence, and a Mars bar today is £1.50, the average price of a Mars bar is £1. No, that's bullshit. You're lying, ONS, Office of National Statistics. Lies, damn lies, and statistics, I think you'll find. So rent growth has slowed, but only because it's representative of the fact that tenants are moving out because some students have finished. I don't know why students have finished this month. I thought they're supposed to finish in March, but they come to the end of the studies. Is it post-grad? Probably, actually. I have no idea, right? All I know is we put the property on the market, and depending on how many leads we get, that will determine what the price is, and we're going to increase it or we're going to decrease it depending on supply and demand. That's basically how it works. And at the start of January, the one thing that you tend to get, although it's a little bit late now on the 11th, you know, up from the 27th to the 2nd or 3rd, you get men with 2 black bags turning up because they've been kicked out of a house. And they're dreadful tenants, those, by the way, simply because a week later they go, oh, I've got back with the missus, can I hand the property back? No, you sign up for 6 months. So rent growth has slowed, but I think it's representative of the fact it's at the start of January. More properties have come out on the marketplace. Supply and demand will mean that rental prices are lower at this point in time. And certainly that's been my experience, 25 years experience, letting agency owner for 5 or 10 years, however that is. I don't know. But rent growth has slowed, but I think it's a speed bump on the road to increase rents. Wait until we get to September. August and September, those rents are going to shoot up again. And this is what happened. It comes in waves, folks. I mean, every so often those waves kind of stop around January time, December and January. And although actually, traditionally, usually January is a really busy month anyway. I don't know what's going on this year. Who knows, right? It could be all of the government stopping people coming in and their families coming in. So now they don't need 2, 3, 4 bedroom units. They just need a studio for the contractors from India who come in on IT contracts. We get loads of guys from India coming in on IT contracts. Who's moving in? It's just me. Okay, and then in 6 months, my wife and my kids are coming, and they get a 2-bed property. That's not happening. Now they're renting studios, because now there's uncertainty in the marketplace because of the government saying, well, now you're not allowed to bring your family. Beggars belief. Just beggars belief. So now these guys probably ain't going to come over, so who's going to do the IT contracts? It's just bizarre, right? It's just utterly bizarre. Anyway, rent growth has definitely slowed. Look, I hope you find that useful. Nice little Dan rant there. I do enjoy them time to time, and I probably need to do them a little bit more. Very cathartic. You should try it. But we're back live again tomorrow with the Mindset and Hustle show. So come and join me and Johnny at midday UK time. And we'll speak to you soon. Have yourselves a wicked day. My name's Dan Latto. Take care.